I'm like, why am I doing this to myself? I give you my thoughts and feelings and you give me thoughts and prayers. It's fine. Hey, what's up? My name is Daniela and today I want to talk to you about my Project TBR Zero. So as you might know, I am currently trying to reach TBR Zero and I'm vlogging the whole process of reading all of my physical TBR. And it's going to be split into 2 videos. Right now I'm finishing up part 1, but there is still a lot of work to be done on the video. So I was thinking that in the meantime, why won't we just have a little chat? Let's get comfortable and I will talk to you about how it's going, about how I'm feeling about it, what my thoughts are. I give you my thoughts and feelings and you give me thoughts and prayers because I might need them. I think it's actually good to talk about how it's going and how I'm feeling while I'm in the process, because I'm sure that once I'm done I will be like, this was so worth it. Which, like, I'm sure it will be true, but also it's a lot. So let's just get into it. Don't forget to like this video if you end up enjoying it. Also subscribe so that we stay in touch and you find out if I reach TBR Zero or not. So if you're newer here, I actually already did TBR Zero once in the history of my life and my channel. It was 2 years ago in 2023. It was the same season, so also like during the autumn. So naturally I was thinking about the comparison, what's the same, what's different this time. So in 2023 I started with around 10 books on my TBR when I decided that I'm going to reach 0 and read every single one of them before picking up any more books. And this time I started with 20, which obviously doubled the amount. And I remember that back then I was a little bit overwhelmed, even though it was only 10 books, so like you would think it's not that much, but the dedication that you have to put into it and not get distracted by other books and like actually read every single book on the TBR to be done can be a lot. So I was a bit overwhelmed, I was impatient. And yeah, it wasn't always fun, but it was definitely worth it. And yeah, those are some of the feelings that I also kind of feel this time, so I will be getting more into that. One thing that is going well is that I think that this time the selection of books that ended up being left on my TBR, aka I didn't naturally pick them up during the whole year or even the previous year, seems to be slightly better. So during the project I haven't DNF'd anything, which is good, and also all of the books have been 4 stars or 5 stars, which is amazing. It makes me feel quite good about what I have been buying lately in the past 2 years, you know. With a couple of them I felt like DNFing maybe like at some point, but it was more because some of them were pretty tough reads dealing with hard topics, so it was more for that reason. It wasn't because I would think that it's a bad book or that I was bored, and I didn't end up DNFing because in the end, even though there was some tough material, it was a worthwhile experience. So yeah, no DNFs so far. Oh yeah, I haven't said, but I'm currently around halfway through the project. So I have less than 10 books on my physical TBR. And I think in 2023 only 1 book ended up being 3 stars. And I also didn't have any DNFs, so it's kind of similar, like we still have half to go, so the rating might go down, but so far the selection has been great, which obviously makes this whole project much more enjoyable. And even though some of the books weren't my favorite genre, like the historical fiction ones, there isn't a single book that I would read and think like, well, this didn't bring me absolutely anything, or like I have no idea why I even bought this. Like everything kind of made sense, even if it wasn't a genre that I tend to gravitate towards. When it comes to picking up my next read every time, I've been alternating between using a wheel and a free choice. And I think it has been a good balance because the wheel is fun. I see so many people use it and I also wanted to use it. So yeah, I incorporated that at least in the first half of the project. And also, like when you're already kind of overwhelmed with life and everything, it is very nice that the wheel just makes the decision for you and you don't start overthinking, and yeah, it's just one less decision you have to make in a day, so it has been really helpful. I have to say that I have been struggling with the selection, the very limited selection that I currently have, because I'm a mood reader, and obviously when the number is going down, a lot of the time there isn't a genre or even like age group that I would be in the mood for. It's just not on my TBR anymore. So I have been like forcing myself a little bit into some books, starting them, making progress in them. But as I've said, the books have been good ones, so that helps. I'm also officially allowed to DNF if I'm really not enjoying a book. I would rather not DNF any books in this project, so we will see about that. But even when I'm forcing myself a little bit, like, I don't force myself, like, if I really can't concentrate or if I really don't feel up to reading on some days. So not like that, but like I'm forcing myself to pick up the book, and then we will see what happens. Like if I can stay concentrated, maybe with breaks, and make some progress, that's great. If not, I try on another day. Yeah, so I'm definitely not reading every day, even with this pretty intense challenge. And me saying that I'm a mood reader and that I prefer to have like a certain genre, a certain age group, certain kind of book to have always at my disposal might sound a bit contradictory to the fact that I prefer to have a smaller TBR, and it's definitely something I will be continuing with. But when I'm not doing a TBR Zero challenge, I actually don't feel very limited by a small TBR, because I can always get an ebook or audiobook instantly, or I can go out and buy a physical book, so, or I can go to the library, even though the options there are a bit limited. But yeah, if I'm not doing a challenge like this, I can get to read I'm in the mood for quickly. I know that some people kind of panic about not having enough choice on their bookshelves, and obviously it's totally fine. Like if you want to have a great selection, nothing wrong with that. But yeah, I don't really feel limited in this sense. But of course, when I overdo the not reading my physical TBRs and going out of my way to get other books, then sometimes I find myself in a pickle like this, and then the cycle kind of continues. So I have been definitely thinking about how to move forward in this regard. Okay, another thing that is challenging, and also this feels like a little bit funny, because like I know that my challenge is pretty short, like it's just 3 months, but it's not that short, and honestly the last couple of months just have felt like twice as long. So things have just sprung up in terms of how I'm feeling. And so I would say that another kind of downside of this challenge is that I'm feeling a little bit disconnected from the book community, and not necessarily like from other people, even though maybe like with most people we are kind of doing something different. And although like some people I know might be doing something a little bit similar, like lowering their TBR, like tons of people are doing that, but most people are doing it with different rules, different timelines, stuff like that. There is very few people who are actually going to zero. But in its design, this project, this challenge of mine, is a solitary project. It's not a group readathon or read-along. It is my own thing. But actually the main disconnect that I'm feeling is with all of the other books that are not on my TBR. So yeah, I kind of feel like they are not my business, and that like obviously there is like an element of missing out, falling behind, etc. But it's also about not feeling connected to some type of bookish content right now. So when it comes to book hauls and book recommendations, like I will watch them, especially like if my friends put them out, but yeah, I can't do anything about them right now. So yeah. Also, Goodreads Choice Awards, that's another chapter. So I have read one book on the list. I have read Death of the Author by Nnedi Okorafor. By the way, amazing book. Really enjoyed it, gave it 5 stars. But yeah, it's the only one. So I'm falling very behind on the new releases, which isn't like necessarily a bad thing, but I would like to be more in touch with the new releases, which at this moment is impossible for me, because like no other books on my TBR are from 2025. Another thing is bookstores and going to bookstores. So recently I was on a day trip to another city called Brno, and normally when I'm traveling I like to go to all of the bookstores, even if for just a little bit, and I like to support indie bookstores. And during this challenge I found myself like avoiding bookstores mostly because I kind of don't like the feeling of going into a bookstore and not feeling free to browse and potentially buy something if I really want to, especially if it's an indie. I went into an indie in Brno and it was stunning, and like the staff was super kind, and like I loved that bookstore and I would buy something, but I would probably, they didn't have like a huge selection. It was a small bookstore. So for example, they had the new memoir by Patti Smith, the newer one, and so I am interested in that. I saw Patti Smith this summer, actually on my birthday. She was in Prague, so I went to that show and it was amazing. So I'm definitely intrigued about her books, but I was thinking that I might want to read the previous one, the Just Kids book first, before I get to this one potentially. And also, like, at the back of my mind was that, like, well, if I buy this now I have to read it in the next couple of weeks basically. And yeah, so I didn't buy it because like that's not on the plan, you know. I have 1 or 2 more little day trip planned till the end of the year, and I'm just really looking forward to being able to go somewhere, go to the bookstore, get a book or 6 if it's London, and being able to browse and potentially shop without the danger warning at the back of my mind. Then my next point is kind of both a downside and a benefit, I would say, and it's about doing a challenge like this during challenging times. So I've been dealing with multiple health issues in the last couple of months. Some of them are my usual chronic stuff, some of them are like bonus stuff I've been dealing with. So it's been a bit challenging. Right now I'm also recovering from a flu, so it's been a time. And having a challenge like this is kind of twofold. So on one hand, obviously it's like one more thing on your plate, one more thing to think about and strive for, so it can get like a little bit overwhelming. But on the other hand, I really appreciate what a challenge like this can do for me during challenging times, because it is very low energy friendly. I can do it in my bed. That's a win. And as I said, I don't read every single day. On some days I just don't feel up to it, but on a lot of other days I might still not have energy for doing much else, like work on anything else I want to make progress on, be it like decluttering and deep cleaning my apartment so that I feel better in my home, or be it like content creation, business plans, or just doing fun stuff outside, you know. So when I don't have energy for anything else, this is a project that is there for me, and I can still make progress in something that is important to me. And that's just something that has been really helpful for my mental health. And I find it quite interesting how my brain processes a challenge like this, because on one hand it feels kind of big, like going from like however many books in my TBR to 0 is a pretty big accomplishment. But then again, like in the overall scheme of my life, it's not that deep. Like sometimes I'm like, why am I doing this to myself? And it probably won't directly change my life for the better, right? But maybe it can be impactful, and kind of one thing leads to another way. When you achieve something that is quite big in the bookish world, and it might inspire you and lead you to try to achieve something in other areas of your life. Also, I have thoughts on doing this specifically during this season of the year, so autumn and leading up to Christmas. So one thing is that it is quite naturally a bit more busy, even though for me, like, yeah, I have things going on, but it's not like so crazy that I won't have enough time to read. And also the onset of the winter weather definitely makes me want to hibernate, so in this sense it's kind of helpful. What's definitely a benefit of doing this during this season is that this challenge is budget friendly. I don't have to spend any more money. In fact, like, it is good if I don't. and so that's very good in a season that's very hard for the budget. And then it's kind of leading up to the natural reward of the holiday. I'm going to have 2 weeks off, at least 2 weeks off during the Christmas break, so the holiday season might be kind of a reward in itself. And also my official deadline is the end of the year, but I would really love to get all of this done till Christmas, because then it's kind of a natural reward, like right away, because I will get gifted a couple of books and I can also treat myself during the holiday season. So yeah, I feel like it's just such a nice like transition that at the end of the project there is the holiday season waiting for you. Also, this time around, doing this project for the second time, I have 2 Christmassy books on my TBR. So every winter, every December, I really like to read Christmassy books, mostly Christmas romances. And so these 2 books are kind of also a reward, even though they are still a part of the project. But I kind of want to maybe get to everything else before I read these 2 at the end, or maybe leave just like one of them until the end. We will see how I feel about that. But I remember that when I was doing this in 2023, I had maybe like 1 Christmassy book on the TBR and I read it like in between, and I remember that I was like stressed to get everything done and still have like enough time to read my Christmassy ebooks. So this time I have 2 books on the TBR that are Christmassy, so that feels like even if I don't get anything else done like during Christmas, I would still have at least these 2. But I'm still hoping that I will also get like a few other Christmas books in, but we will see. I also want to say that it is okay to not stick to the TBR books 100% all of the time. So for example, I read 2 witchy books, so similar as Christmas books. I really like to read witchy books in October, and I didn't have any witchy books on my TBR, so I knew that I really wanted to squeeze a couple of them in. So I read 2 witchy books from the library, and I'm so glad I did, because yeah, I would feel robbed. I would feel like something essential is missing from the season by this point. I didn't always do this, you know, but once you get used to it, it's just so nice. So you don't have to stick to the TBR all of the times. I also finished 1 ebook that I started before I started the challenge, but yeah, that was pretty much it. Other than that, I'm sticking to the TBR for now. I kind of had to come to terms with the fact that I might not be able to like do some video projects that I was thinking of, because some of the books, like I had an idea in mind for a project, but I would need to read multiple books for that project, and only one of them was on the TBR. So at some point it kind of became a bit unrealistic. I had like at least 2 ideas, and so far I haven't done any, and yeah, I don't know if I will. So like I had to come to terms with that if I don't manage to do these other video projects like during this time, it's absolutely fine. I can do them later. Like, it's fine. So that is the gist of my thoughts. Basically, right now it is a little bit tough to be in the middle of the challenge, because it is a challenge, but I also really didn't mean this as a complaint fest. So I hope I managed to like balance some of the benefits, some of the downsides. And also, I haven't mentioned my favorite aspect of this challenge for me right now, what I'm experiencing right now, is that it makes me really excited for 2026. And I think that is priceless. It's making me think about how I'm going to proceed with buying books and reading books and choosing them, and yeah, all of my book related habits and all of the books that I'm going to pick first and all of that. So that has been very exciting. I will let the thoughts and goals for next year marinate for a little bit. So there's definitely a video that should be coming like around New Year's. I'm definitely looking forward to being free again to being able to go to bookstores and browse and buy and to feel connected to all of the kinds of bookish content. Again, be excited about bookish recommendations and new releases and all of that. But I think that's pretty much it. So yeah, this is how my Project TBR Zero is going. Definitely let me know if you've ever done a project like this, or if you're contemplating it, or any other thoughts you might have. And as I said, the vlog part 1 is coming soon. Like this video if you enjoyed it and subscribe to my channel to see more. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!